Okay, got it. So welcome everyone to the last week of the Song of Prayer. I hope you've all had a chance to read a little bit, go back over what we've been doing in the group, and maybe even reading ahead. So I just want to give a little sort of overview of something that I felt for me coming into this last week on healing, because this was fascinating to me, because my focus for the period of that 2 really strong 2 years of dedication to forgiveness, like every day, every moment was about forgiveness. And so when I got to the end of that period, not knowing what would happen, right, I had no idea. I actually really thought I just put this 2-year period that I would be doing forgiveness. But I also had this sense of I will just keep forgiving for the rest of my life because I can see that it is bringing me peace. So at the start, it was bringing me small amounts of peace, but as I continued to do forgiveness, it did really start to bring, blissful moments, like the holy instant of, bliss. And then periods like days and weeks of just this joy that I've never experienced. But it always left. And I always had the ego come back in, and I would say, okay, I've got more forgiveness to do. So I've shared this before, I decided not to get upset when the ego was back in my mind. I would just say, okay, I've got to apply forgiveness again. So I have to look at what is coming up with my guide. I have to apply something so I see what the thoughts are false. Because when we're in the ego, we're believing them to be true. And so one of the things, when I got to the end, what I call the end of my journey, but it's not really the end, but it was really more the end of the really doing a lot of forgiveness, was, the morning when I went into the shower and I just saw everything as God and everything opened up. It was just this big, what I call the big soup of love. It was just like my whole perception changed in that moment. And I was laughing. I was just saying, it's all God. Everything's God. It's just all this. It was all one because it was all God. So it was just like this oneness. I felt myself to be everywhere in everything. I was in the towel. I was the wall. I was the mirror. I was my shoes. I was like, there's nowhere where I am. I'm everything. It's all God. It was so beautiful. And then I had this sort of knowledge come in, this understanding. And that's why he calls it knowledge, because it's like a knowledge of there's only God, and that this whole world is a big dream world, and it's a nothingness, and was just so beautiful to go through that. Now that's God taking the final step, because all I did in the morning when I woke up was read my lesson, apply my lesson. I was doing a lot of surrendering in those days, and I was just like, I let go, I surrender, I give my life to you, I let go, there's nothing here that I want, I just want to be with you, God. And then that's why that final step is that God takes it, because I was doing that surrendering, I was doing the lessons, I was really calling out and asking for help and guidance. And so in that moment, when we have that huge shift of perception, what they call awakening to the truth, and we're all going to have it. It's whether it's this lifetime or another lifetime, we're all going to go through it. We're all going to awaken. And so we don't do that final step. That's when there's nothing between you and God. There's nothing to forgive. So everything's cleared. You're seeing everyone as Christ. I was doing that Christ blessing all the time. driving to work, blessing everyone in the cars, getting to work, sitting down, blessing my boss, blessing my co-workers, saying, I'm here to bless my boss with my work here today. Thank you for the blessing of the money. I'm going to bless the shopkeeper now with the money I give. Thank you for your blessing, your smile. You're standing here blessing me, working here so I can buy my food. Blessing, blessing, blessing. So everything moved into being in a blessing, just a big world of blessing. So, but one thing, this is what I'm eventually getting around to talking about, is the one thing after a while I thought, how do I help others have this? I said to Jesus, how do I help? How I can't give, I can't take my mind and give it to them. And he said to me that this certainty, my certainty and what I've been through is helpful. And then he guided me to the areas of the course where he talks about healing. And he showed me things that I had overlooked, like, I rest in God. And if you're part of that lesson is bring everyone into your rest. And he said, that's how healing works. And that's what we're going to hear today in this teaching that he's bringing through. Healing, he says, we're not to preach to our brothers. We're not to try to fix them. We're not to try to get them to do the Course in Miracles. He says healing is through this love and peace of God that is within us. And, like Shannon said very clearly last week, I need do nothing. So the peace and love of God within me does it all. Now, when I first was reading that, I said, really? I don't really need to say anything. It's like, well, yes, you can use words, but it's the essence of you. So he sort of showed me that the reason why someone wanted to touch his robe, he didn't say a word. It was that he was the love of God. He was emanating this love. And I was thinking that, me being in this state of mind and seeing everyone as Christ and just knowing everything's God, it's all God. I said, what do I do? That, in the Course, it says they're looking at you thinking that you're the same as them. So the ego looks and thinks you're the same ego. I'm not looking at that. My mind's not perceiving that. So over the last 18 months, when I really said I was doing a lot of, just on my journey, doing groups like I am now, but I said to him, like with someone like my dad, right? Other people around me that are not interested, and actually start to recall if you start talking about these, especially the word God, because as he says in the Course, the word God is misrepresented. So even when I came to the Course, I had many years to change my perception of the word God. So sometimes you say the word God to people and they really get upset. Don't mention that. I don't want to hear about that. So we as miracle workers, how do we heal? We heal through our peace. A healed mind heals through the love and peace of God that just radiates. So I've had this week, there's 6 children in my family. I'm one of 6 in this lifetime. And as you know, been talking a little bit about my dad in these groups. So this week, I had to very quickly get my dad into aged care, into a facility. And every single one of the family, the other 5 children, all got, for various different reasons, there was a lot going on, and they all got triggered hugely, everyone. And so I had 5 other family members messaging me with anger, blocking everybody, So, and everything is smoothed out. And why? Because I just stood as the light and the love and just told everyone, I love you. Let's work this out. What can I do to help? And just, but sometimes I was very firm in my message, the message that was coming through. I just keep saying, tell me what to do, tell me what to say to this one, where I go, should I go? It's very practical. So, yeah, there was, and it was all to do with the fact that elder family members were coming to terms with what seemed to be my dad dying, right? So we're not sure how long he's got to go. So, but it's interesting because I'm watching all this happen, but I know there is no death. I know that who my dad is can't die, and I'm only seeing that, but the other family members aren't. So, and none of them are interested in spirituality. So if you think that my life is all just about, getting on these types of groups and giving this message, which is lovely, I want you to know that my day-to-day life is not sitting around with coarse people just sharing this beautiful message. I'm like Jesus. I'm out in the trenches with everyone. This is what I was called to be. I was called to be, go out and bless, but bless with that peace and love of God, that stillness that we bring with us. So this is the core of the message. And so many of my family members have said how grateful they are that I have been overseeing. I've been put in charge of everything. I've got power of attorney. I'm just organising everything. And everything was effortless this week. This care home came effortlessly to us. Someone knew of someone and I got the guidance. Yes, he has to go here. We went there. The room was amazing. The nurses and people are just so loving and kind. And my dad's really happy to be in there now. He's just, honestly, when you follow guidance and get into that, like that flow, that stream, where you're like on a little river and you're just carried along, there's no trouble. But you have to keep yourself centered when all around is going crazy. You're the one that's there, and your mind is never getting stirred up. You're quiet and you're listening and you're just, maybe some words come through to offer, but so this is what I've been, happened in my life in the last week. So it's good for everyone to know that I'm just not sitting on a veranda in a rocking chair, which is all very nice and lovely if you like to do that. But no, I'm not God. That's not how we are to be his miracle workers. Remember, Helen went to the hospital. She saw friends that were in hospital. She was a therapist. She didn't write the Course in Miracles and go into a cave. This is our job, and this is what he's asking us to do, and he gives us particular ways to do it. So let's get into it today. So I'm going to start with a prayer from the Gifts of God, the poem book by Helen Schucman. This is on page 27 and it's called Healing. And I thought this is so appropriate for the topic for this week. To heal, it is not needful to allow the thought of bodies to engulf your mind in darkness and illusions. Healing is escape from all such thoughts. You hold instead only a single thought, which teaches you your brother is united with your mind. So bodily intrusions on his peace cannot arise to jeopardize the Son whom God created sinless as himself. Think never of the body. Healing is the thought of unity. Forget all things that seem to separate. Your brother's pain has but one remedy, the same as yours. He must be whole because he joins with you, and you are healed because you join with him. Okay, so we're going to start reading through the second last section of healing in the Song of Prayer. And this is called Separation versus Union. So what we're reading here is going to be expand on that prayer, but pretty much the same theme. False healing heals the body in a part, but never as a whole. Its separate goals become quite clear in this, for it has not removed the curse of sin that lies on it. Therefore, it still deceives. I'm just going to explain what this section's about. He's talking about when we take medicine or we use something in this world, he calls it false healing, like a medicine, and it does heal for a while, but because it doesn't remove what he calls the curse of sin that lies on it, it's not going to the cause and removing the cause, which is the ego, our belief in the ego, our belief in sin, guilt, and fear. Because that hasn't been removed, something else comes back. The sickness really never leaves. We get more sick, more pain. So this is why he says it's not wrong to use a medicine, because he says it will take away the pain or the symptoms for a little while. So nor is it made by one who understands the other is exactly like himself. So the one that makes the remedy, the pharmaceutical companies, all the people that make the remedies and the potions, they don't understand that the other, anyone taking it, is exactly like himself. For it is this that makes true healing possible. In other words, we see our brother as ourselves. When false, there is some power that another has, like a doctor or a naturopath or somebody that we go to, a nurse, a carer, even a friend that might say, here, take this. I've found this really helps with stomach trouble or bowel trouble. So when this is about false healing, we believe there is some power that another has, not equally bestowed on both as one. So it's like, I don't have a stomach ache now, but you do, so I'm giving you this. So it's always about there's always some type of separation or different symptoms or something different at the time. As you can see, I sort of want you to know what he's actually meaning when he's talking like this, because sometimes it can seem quite abstract. So I'm giving you examples so you can really understand. So we think that there is some power that another has. So, we give our power to doctors, physios, and there's nothing wrong with that, but he's going to lead us to be truly healed, where we have no pain and no illness at all, because we've brought our mind We've got a healed mind. So here is the separation shown. So a separate person's giving me this separate thing. They don't have a stomach ache at the moment, but I do. So I'm a little bit separate to them, all separate ideas. And here the meaning of true healing has been lost. And idols have risen to obscure the unity that is the Son of God. So nowhere in that conversation has any unity happened, has any oneness happened. It's been, somebody's been tried to be helpful, and they might think they're being loving by offering us something, and I'm sure nurses and all the caring health people all want to help. But this is where we are going to leave behind. We're going to thank our brother for all this help, but we're going to go to true healing. So Shannon?
Healing to separate may seem to be a strange idea, and yet it can be said of any form of healing that is based on inequality of any kind. These forms may heal the body, and indeed are generally limited to this. Someone knows better, has been better trained, or is perhaps more talented and wise. Therefore, he can give healing to the one who stands beneath him in his patronage. The healing of the body can be done by this because in dreams, equality cannot be permanent. The shifts and change are what the dream is made of. To be healed appears to be to find a wiser one who, by his arts and learning, will succeed.
So we'll continue finding out about how healing operates in the dream. Someone knows better. This is the magic phase by which the body seems to be the aim of healing as the world conceives of it. So nowhere do we talk about healing our mind. We're trying to work on symptoms of the body. And to this wiser one, another goes to profit by his learning and his skill, to find in him the remedy for pain. How can that be? True healing cannot come from inequality assumed and then accepted as the truth and used to help restore the wounded and to calm the mind that suffers from the agony of doubt. So this is just once again saying that even when the doctor is trying to be helpful, he's still seeing a separate body that needs healing, and he's offering something for the body. At no stage has there been any joining and oneness in the mind. So I just want to be really clear here. This is what he's teaching us. And it's not to throw away everything that we're using, or any doctors or anyone that you're using, but just to remember that even when you think, oh, I love this doctor, he's so good, he's so helpful, he's so caring, Jesus is saying there's still inequality here. There's still inequality because unless there's this joining of the mind and not seeing your brother as a body, it's not oneness, it's not true healing. Shannon?
Is there a role for healing then that one can use to offer help for someone else? In arrogance, the answer must be no. But in humility, there is indeed a place for helpers. It is like the role that helps in prayer and lets forgiveness be what it was meant to be. You do not make yourself the bearer of the special gift that brings the healing. You but recognize your oneness with the one who calls for help. For in this oneness is his separate sense dispelled, and it is this that made him sick. There is no point in giving remedy apart from where the source of sickness is, for never thus can it truly be healed.
Healers there are, for they are sons of God who recognize their source and understand that all their source creates is one with them. This is the remedy that brings relief which cannot fail. It will remain to bless for all eternity. It heals no part, but wholly and forever. Now the cause of every malady has been revealed exactly as it is, and in that place is written now the holy word of God. Sickness and separation must be healed by love and union. Nothing else can heal as God established healing. Without him, there is no healing, for there is no love.
God's voice alone can tell you how to heal. Listen, and you will never fail to bring his kindly remedy to those he sends to you, to let him heal them, and to bless all those who serve with him in healing's name. The body's healing will occur because its cause has gone. And now, without a cause, it cannot come again in different form. Nor will death any more be feared because it has been understood. There is no fear in one who has been truly healed, for love has entered now where idols used to stand, and fear has given way at last to God.
So we're just at the end of this little section, and I'm guided to read this another prayer from Helen's poems. And as we can see in this last paragraph, he's asking us, God's voice alone can tell you how to heal. Listen, and you will never fail to bring his kindly remedy to those he sends to you, to let him heal them, and to bless all those who serve with him in healing's name. The body's healing will occur, right? Because it's coming from the mind, the belief in sin and guilt. That's what needs to be healed. And how that's healed is through us. We are the miracle workers. And we don't have to worry about outcomes. We only have to just do what he guides us to do and never concern ourselves. The healing has occurred, as the oneness has occurred. We've just joined our brother in the oneness of God, love. So this is a poem called Before We Ask. So this is where we ask, what should I do? How, tell me, should I stay silent? Should I, sometimes you might be guided just to hold the person's hands and look into their eyes and do some eye gazing, or you might give them a back rub, or you might make them a meal, or you might just sit and listen to them. Or you might say, let's pray together, let's join. in this prayer, and you might have a prayer come through that you say with them. So we can't know, we can't go with our plan wherever we are, with whoever we're with. That's why we need to be like this open channel of hearing what he wants. He knows what that mind needs to heal. So this is a poem called Before We Ask. Let us not question, but be still a while. There is an answer given us before we ask the question, a solution to all strife and pain and turbulence, a door to silence and to absolution. We ask free before we ask for freedom, healed before we ask for healing, remedy for every sorrow given us, and sealed within us, always present, always near, in easy access, readily made plain. God's Son is answered. Wearily at last, he calls upon his Father's name again. So he's asking us, and he says, let us not question, but be still a while. He just means just be still and let the answer come forth. So this is a really good talk about how we heal our mind and offer healing, because this is what he wants us to do. This is the Course in Miracles. It's about receiving the miracle and offering the miracle, offering that natural expression of God's love. Okay, Shannon, would you like to start the next section? Thank you.
Sure, thanks, Cate. The holiness of healing. How holy are the healed? For in their sight, their brothers share their healing and their love. Bringers of peace, the Holy Spirit's voice, through whom he speaks for God, whose voice he is. Such are God's healers. They but speak for him and never for themselves. They have no gifts but those they have from God. And these they share because they know that this is what he wills. They are not special. They are holy. They have chosen holiness and given up all separate dreams of special attributes through which they can bestow unequal gifts on those less fortunate. Their healing has restored their wholeness so they can forgive and join the song of prayer in which the healed sing of their union and their thanks to God.
As witness to forgiveness, aid to prayer, and the effect of mercy truly taught, healing is blessing. And the world responds in quickened chorus through the voice of prayer. Forgiveness shines its merciful reprieve upon each blade of grass and feathered wing and all the living things upon the earth. Fear has no haven here, for love has come in all its holy oneness. Time remains only to let the last embrace of prayer rest on the earth an instant as the world is shined away. This instant is the goal of all true healers, whom the Christ has taught to see his likeness and to teach like him.
Think what it means to help the Christ to heal. Can anything be holier than this? God thanks his healers, for he knows the cause of healing is himself, his love, his Son, restored as his completion, and return to share with him creation's holy joy. Do not ask partial healing, nor accept an idol for remembrance of him whose love has never changed and never will. You are as dear to him as is the whole of his creation, for it lies in you as his eternal gift. What need have you for shifting dreams within a sorry world? Do not forget the gratitude of God. Do not forget the holy grace of prayer. Do not forget forgiveness of God's Son.
You first forgive, then pray, and you are healed. Your prayer has risen up and called to God, who hears and answers. You have understood that you forgive and pray, but for yourself. And in this understanding, you are healed. In prayer, you have united with your source and understood that you have never left. This level cannot be attained until there is no hatred in your heart and no desire to attack the Son of God.
Never forget this. It is you who are God's Son, and as you choose to be to him, so are you to yourself, and God to you. Nor will your judgment fail to reach to God, for you will give the role to him you see in his creation. Do not choose amiss, for you will think that it is you who are creator in his place, and he is then no longer cause, but only an effect. Now healing is impossible, for he is blamed for your deception and your guilt. He who is love becomes the source of fear, for only fear can now be justified. Vengeance is his great destroyer, death, and sickness, suffering, and grievous loss become the lot of everyone on earth, which he abandoned to the devil's care, swearing he will deliver it no more.
So even though it's sometimes not very nice reading these sections where Jesus is telling us, how the ego works in our mind, sometimes I used to skip over these sections because I thought, I don't like these words. But he guided me that I needed to be really, really look and become aware of how I thought about God. And so this is why he puts it here. And you might wonder, why does he write like this? Like it's pretty, using the word devil and swearing and suffering and grievous loss. He really is asking us, we have to look at the ego to let it go. Conflict must be resolved. If you want to go and look at a later date, lesson 333, it's very clear. We have to look at the ego and have it resolved. Just bypassing it doesn't get it. So the two ways we come to healing is to look at the ego and see its falseness. Our guide is going to help us see the falseness of the ego. And the other part is coming to know our true self, coming to know, experiencing those holy instants, those experiences where we just have this beautiful peace of mind. And that's our true self. So when he says that now God is blamed for your deception and your guilt, if you have these thoughts that, God could help me with this, or why is God doing this to me, or, anything like that, this is what he's talking about here. And you have to be very, very honest with what the thoughts you're having in your mind about God. So he's telling us that do not choose amiss, or you will think that it is you who are creator in his place. So we're starting to think, I'm the little God, and that God, not this powerful or all-encompassing love. We've changed God to be this thing that's not helping us, that, is making us poor, or not helping us get out of our poverty, or get out of our job, or why doesn't God help me? And remember, this was this wrong prayer of asking for things. We have to forget all that we've ever thought about or ever learned. We have to come to know God as God is infinite love without an opposite. So every time we think this old-fashioned way, I'm only sharing about my journey, about how I was brought up and how I thought about God, had to let it all go. And this is what he's asking us to do. And we all have to do this. We all have to be very honest. What are my thoughts about God? What are they? And notice them and get help, replace them, have a correction and a replacement of the truth about God. So this next section from paragraph 6 onwards is really, Shannon and I usually meet 10 minutes on the Zoom before we start the group. And I haven't really been through Song of Prayer before in a really detailed way. And I was just about to say to her that the last section of this is God speaking. And she said to me, oh, the last section is where God is speaking. And I said, yes, I noticed the change straight away. Now, when I read it out, you'll hear it. And this is going to be our meditation today. So what we're going to do is Shannon and I are going to read this section as we've been doing. And then I'm going to go back through part of it as a meditation. So it's just so beautiful. And I said to Shannon, I don't think in the course, I don't think in any of the words that we read in all the course literature, that there's anything where it's really said as if it's God speaking to us, the words are coming through. It's usually Jesus talking about God. So this will be interesting. And I've sort of got a section where I believe that it starts, but it's leading up to it. So I'll share this to you as we go through. So I'll read. It's my turn to read, isn't it? So paragraph 6. Come unto me, my children, once again, without such twisted thoughts upon your hearts. You still are holy with the holiness which fathered you in perfect sinlessness and still surrounds you with the arms of peace. Dream now of healing. Then arise and lay all dreaming down forever. You are he your Father loves, who never left his home, nor wandered in a savage world with feet that bleed and with a heavy heart made hard against the love that is in the truth in you. Give all your dreams to Christ and let him be your guide to healing, leading you in prayer beyond the sorry reaches of the world.
He comes for me and speaks my word to you. I would recall my weary son to me from dreams of malice to the sweet embrace of everlasting love and perfect peace. My arms are open to the son I love, who does not understand that he is healed and that his prayers have never ceased to sing his joyful thanks in unison with all creation in the holiness of love. Be still an instant. Underneath the sounds of harsh and bitter striving and defeat, there is a voice that speaks to you of me. Hear this an instant, and you will be healed. Hear this an instant, and you have been saved.
Help me to wake my children from the dream of retribution and a little life beset with fear that ends so soon it might as well have never been. Let me instead remind you of eternity, in which your joy grows greater as your love extends along with mine beyond infinity, where time and distance have no meaning. While you wait in sorrow, heaven's melody is incomplete because your song is part of the eternal harmony of love. Without you is creation unfulfilled. Return to me, who never left my son. Listen, my child, your father calls to you. Do not refuse to hear the call for love. Do not deny to Christ what is his own. Heaven is here, and heaven is your home.
Creation leans across the bars of time to lift the heavy burden from the world. Lift up your hearts to greet its advent. See the shadows fade away in gentleness. The thorns fall softly from the bleeding brow of him who is the Holy Son of God. How lovely are you, child of holiness. How like to me. How lovingly I hold you in my heart and in my arms. How dear is every gift to me that you have made, who healed my son and took him from the cross. Arise and let my thanks be given you. And with my gratitude will come the gift first of forgiveness, then eternal peace.
So now return your holy voice to me. The song of prayer is silent without you. The universe is waiting your release because it is its own. Be kind to it and to yourself, and then be kind to me. I ask but this, that you be comforted and live no more in terror and in pain. Do not abandon love. Remember this, whatever you may think about yourself, whatever you may think about the world, your Father needs you and will call to you until you come to him in peace at last. It's just so beautiful, those words there. I'm just going to go into the meditation now. I'm going to use these words from this last section to really bring you home. So my instructions are, he asks us to call to him. Just let go. Start off, just let go of everything. Let go of the past. Go of the future. Just let go. Anything in your mind, let it go. If you prefer, you just give it over to the Holy Spirit. Lay it on an altar. Just let go. Come to God with empty hands. Let it all go. Hold on to nothing. Let's just have a period of silence, and then I might use some words. Father, let me remember you are here, and I am not alone. Surrounding me is everlasting love. I have no cause for anything except the perfect peace and joy I share with you, what need have I for anger or for fear? Surrounding me is perfect safety. Can I be afraid when your eternal promise goes with me? Surrounding me is perfect sinlessness. What can I fear when you created me in holiness, as perfect as your own? Now just imagine these really big, beautiful, everlasting arms, these everlasting arms of God, gentle, comforting. You can rest there. You can just rest in these everlasting arms. Let go of everything and just feel yourself resting, completely safe, nothing to worry about. Let go of everything and just feel this safety, this rest, this peace. Feel so secure, so loved, so safe. Just stay there and rest. My arms are open to the Son I love. These are the words from God. My arms are open to the Son I love. Be still an instant. So just had this guidance coming right now. This is called the Song of Prayer, this section. And he's referenced the Song of Prayer just in this little section. Let's attempt now to go into that song. Let's try again. Now, to get into the Song of Prayer, we have to let all hatred and attack go. Let's just give it up. Just let it all go. So give everything over. I let go of all my thoughts. I let go of everything. Let go of all my relationships. I let go of everything. Now, to come into the Song of Prayer, we need gratitude. That's how you get into it. Gratitude for God. So I want you to start feeling this rising up. I want you to say silently, thank you. Thank you. Unless you're feeling to do something different, just feel this really deep inner thank you. You're directing it to God. Feel this love, this infinite love welling up within you. That's how you get into the Song of Prayer. Today, we will attempt to join that, to let go of everything and join this infinite love, this beautiful grace of gratitude. So let's just say thank you, thank you, thank you, and rise up in love and gratitude. God, God, I want to hear your song. I want to live in your song. I want to be part of the song. Thank you. Okay. So today's satsang and the theme is all about healing. We are healed, our mind is healed, and our body will heal along with that. So the body can't be sick. Jesus definitely says that. It has no autonomy to be sick. It's the mind that believes in guilt and fear and sin that needs healing. And then as we heal, we then become the messengers of God, that healing is possible, to be healed, but it's to heal our mind. And we take that peace with us. And it is our peace that heals. It's not lecturing or teaching. It's our peace that goes forward before us. So to me, that's the lesson of today. Take this inner silence with you. Take this stillness with you. Try to get into the stillness and let that be with you as you move around. Whoever you meet, that stillness will meet them. That light, that stillness of the light within you will shine into others' minds. It will happen without you needing to really say anything. They will feel it and experience it. And if you need to use words, the words will come. So if you're going to meet with someone that you think this is a difficult relationship with me, it's very hard for me to bring stillness and peace when I meet this person. Stop a while before you meet them. Just pause. Ask him to be with you. Enter his presence now. Enter his presence. Drop right into that stillness of God. Let it be within you. And then move into, if you need to talk to someone. And let that really deep stillness and presence of God, his love and peace, shine through you. That's all we need to do for healing. That's what he showed me. This is it. It just sounds too simple, doesn't it? This is what he showed me. And this is, if you want to read again this section, that's all it says, to bring that stillness and that peace with us. He says, bring them into your peace and let them rest there. So let us, as we say goodbye to each other today, let us do a silent blessing today. So I'd like you to unmute yourselves. Shannon, are you able to unmute doing that?